Hello, people online. I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about this video I was watching today. So I'm not super familiar with Carl Jung, but I've definitely been learning more about him, listening to his speeches or whatever, like his talks that he has had. And something that I found really interesting was that he pointed out something that I've seen in modern psychology as well, that the need to over-explain oneself is often rooted in an insecurity of sorts, that need for external validation. The explanation, the over-explanation rather, will come from a desire to have other people understand you, right? And I know we all want to be understood, but there is this line between when we accept ourselves and we accept, our own fear of abandonment and fear of being left out or judged. We no longer feel that compulsion to over-explain our thought process, our reasoning, our logic, and that's definitely something I'm still working on for sure. But I do think it was something important that I wanted to bring up and discuss on my own channel. And so, yeah, just that, I guess I kind of knew, but I never really connected it in those words, that the need to explain yourself to others comes from that fear of being rejected by others. And sure, I kind of knew it, but it kind of makes sense on a different level to me too, as I have been on my own journey coming into self-stability, and finding those things that I sought outside myself, find them inside myself. And so definitely, I think we all humans have, at least at some point in their life, struggled with a fear of being rejected by others, whether it's those close to you or just the general, masses, general population, that kind of thing. And so, yeah, I don't know. I have been practicing not feeling like I need to over-explain, and understanding that I can validate my own logic and reasoning, and I won't be everyone's favorite person, I won't be everyone's friend, but I will be my own best friend, and that at the end of the day, that is what matters most. And it's not selfish, it is coming into, I think, authentically loving yourself, when you don't need everyone's approval to be who you are, and it is a big shift coming from someone like me who was a people pleaser for a really long time. And it's interesting too how Carl Jung talks about how people with strong levels of empathy, often it was a survival mechanism, and that really rings true for me as someone who grew up with a mother that displayed a lot of narcissistic, abusive traits. I had to learn how to read the unspoken things in order to avoid, punishment or abuse. And though it is a survival skill in childhood, oftentimes it can be overwhelming as an adult and lead to the people-pleasing tendencies that I feel like a lot of us who had narcissistic abuse in our lives, that we often adapt to being, And being a people pleaser is that extreme form, I think, of needing external validation and not having the internal security that a healthy individual has. And so I definitely want to gather that healthy security in myself more and more each day. And learning to let go of needing to explain myself is definitely going to be a challenge, especially I've been an over-explainer my whole life. But yeah, I don't want to really realize in my heart, not just my head, that when I choose to try to over-explain, to cater to people, to want to be liked, to want to be accepted, to want to be understood even, I'm denying and betraying part of myself. The part of myself that is trying to form this identity that understands I don't need external validation to be valid. All I need is my own internal validation. And I think I struggle with it too, because I know that there is a line there as well, that when you cross that line, it goes into delusion, you know? And I definitely think going into delusion is a fear of mine. You know, I don't want to be so out of touch with reality or so unempathetic towards others that I only care about my own reality, you know? And I think it's a fine line to walk, but at the same time, too, if we find ourselves as people pleasers who over-explain everything, we really are not doing ourselves justice. We're not validating ourselves. We're telling ourselves subconsciously that if people don't understand me, then I must be wrong. And I don't want to teach myself that subconsciously, you know, which I have done for a long time. And I think it's sometimes really difficult to admit, because it is a bit embarrassing to admit that we have subconsciously sought external validation over our own internal validation, especially as you start to become aware of these things and you see what you want to be. To admit that you've been the opposite can feel shameful, but it's not. Because the truth is that I think every human struggles with these things. I have yet to meet a person who was born perfect or who was born knowing everything on how to be healthy, especially when you grew up in dysfunction or abuse. And so, yeah, I just wanted to share that little tidbit, and I hope that maybe it'll help some of the people that watch my channel too. Definitely recommend looking into Carl Jung, though. He's fascinating for sure, and I find it so incredibly interesting how ahead of his time he was, how many things that he discovered and taught only recently have been backed up by scientific fact. And I think that's really awesome. And so I'm going to keep listening to Carl Jung and painting, but I was just taking a little break and wanted to word vomit. I hope everyone has a good one. Bye.